YouTube? What is going on, guys? It is your boy James with Make an Opening, and today we got the Meta Prep 101 video for you guys. So make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to stay up to date on all the latest videos. Let me know if you're excited for this one, and also don't forget to check out the link to the Discord downstairs in the description as well to vote on the finals for the Showcase Showdown. It's some pretty intense finals. We have Yoda versus Darth Maul. The winning showcase I purchase and give away to one lucky member. All you have to do is join the Discord, vote on this final poll, and also make sure you are subscribed. Currently, we are almost at 1,300 subs already. So we're getting close to 2K. So I'm gonna have to start brainstorming my next giveaway. It's gonna be awesome. Let me just tell you that. Also, apologies for the bit of a boring video today. You can see my mouse, and this is all we're really gonna be doing today. I'm having some computer issues. I think it's stemming back to the Cad Bane issues when I was like trying to export that. My computer's been acting a little off the fritz lately. So we are going to just act like country boys, and we're gonna make do. So basically what we're going to be talking about today is just playing around the meta in general. What's currently in the meta, what do you expect to play at your local events and planetary qualifiers coming up. We're going to be learning how to study the key matchups, and we're also going to be looking over some of the more important leaders like decks in the meta, and you know, making sure we know what important cards to look out for and some key play lines that these decks like to use. Also, when we wrap things up, I will give you guys my personal recommendations to build and try out, and you know, maybe take to your locals, get some reps in before a big planetary qualifier. Maybe you guys can get some points to, you know, work towards qualifying for next year's Worlds. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into figuring out what the meta currently is. So honestly, this is the I have it pulled up on swoo-competitivehub.com. This is the set 5 current meta and leaders that are popping up, leaders and bases in the top. As you guys can see, it is like a very, very healthy meta at the moment. We have, you know, in terms of aggro decks, we have Sabine ECL representing quite well. We have Boba JTL with Data Vault, you know, being really, really well represented, and is actually, you know, he's been performing really great lately, which is really cool to see. Kylo Ren Tarkentown, you know, one of the key decks coming out of Worlds, is still performing really strongly. We also have Vader from JTL with yellow. That's a known commodity in the aggro tier. Mid-range decks, obviously, we still have Quinlan Voss, you know, topping things. Currently, the deck to play and the deck to beat. Second place was the previous deck to play and deck to beat, and Han Solo Blue Force Base, another mid-range deck. And we also have, you know, Cad Bane Tarkentown popping up. Shout out if you want to know a little bit more about Cad Bane Tarkentown. I'll have a link to my deck tag video in the top right corner. I've never done that before, so hopefully I remember to do that. And then for my control lovers, you guys are not out of the meta. As you guys can see, Item Versio, Data Vault, and even a few tiers down here. We also have Emperor Palpatine Yellow as well, creeping up in the top 8s, and even winning some, I believe. So these are like the winners. Here, Data Vault's 1-2. Palpatine Yellow's 1-2. Iden Data Vault's 1-1. PQ. So hey, represent, control players. Honestly, represent. Also, we have a bunch of really good, you know, eyes and ears in the meta, like Swoo Competitive Hub. And as you guys can see, over this weekend, this is, you know, 2-3 days ago now, we had 9 planetary qualifiers in the US. These are the main ones I look at personally, because it's like it's, you know, it's metas can be local and also regional. I don't tend to look too deeply at PQ results from, you know, other countries. I typically stay within the US. But over the weekend we had 9, and in all 9 of these there was 8 different winners. Sabine ECL 1-2. But look, we have Quinlan winning 1, Boba, Kira, Kylo, Poe Dameron, Cad Bane, Han Solo. Like, very healthy meta. The meta's in an amazing spot right now, and I honestly am really excited to see how things turn up. I will say the largest PQ out of all of these was won by Poe Dameron Data Vault. So do we need to do a deck tech on that guy? Let's run up those numbers in the comments. Let me know if y'all want to see that, because low key I'm a little interested. All my folks at my local game store, look out, question mark. I don't know. I might do something silly. But anyway, we know what the meta looks like. We know what the meta is. Step 2 in terms of playing around the meta is going to be making your personal meta call and what do you expect. Now, currently, when it comes to making meta calls, obviously that's kind of difficult because of what we're seeing here. It's very diverse. But if you're an active player in your scene, in your local scene, in your community, you know a lot of people that are going to be there. Typically, you know what decks people are leaning towards, and sometimes you can use that towards your advantage. But just looking at it from from a whole, it's mid-range and aggro. You know, there's not a whole lot of control popping up. There is some, but as you guys can see here from leaders and bases and top, the first control list pops up at 19. But look, Cad Bane mid-range 25. Sabine is aggro at 26. We got aggro at 26. We got aggro at 36. We have mid-range at 56 and 44. So, you know, the meta is leaning more mid-range at the moment, but honestly, it's very, very diverse. Making a meta call is very difficult. It's really going to come down to what you think is going to happen. You know, you can utilize this website really well. You go to tournament results and just look for tournament results in and around your area. Not only can you see the winner, but you know, if I lived in Alabama, I'd be like, okay, cool, this happened. What was played? Very widespread meta. Look, we even have set 1 Luke Dadival in the top 8, and we even have Garsax in yellow. So a very diverse meta, to say the least. And I've said that so many times. Every time I say diverse meta, take a shot. You guys are going to be on your ass at the end of this video. So yeah, step 2 is basically meta call. What do you expect? And then step 3, you're going to want to study some key matchups. So another overview of the meta. This is going to be swoometa.net. You can kind of get an idea of what's currently in the meta. You can look at win rates and top 8s. You can see what's doing good, what's not. You can even pull up tournaments and go to the melee pages. But the main thing I want to look at here is the metagame win rates. So for some of the most played decks, let's take Quinlan, for example, right? In terms of leader-based winner. If you're expecting a lot of people to be on Quinlan because Quinlan is the current hotness at the moment, well, let's say, okay, what's Quinlan doing pretty good into? What's Quinlan beating? And what is it not beating, which is, you know, a little bit more important. So 42% win rate into Sabine. So maybe pick Sabine up and, learn your play lines with Sabine heading into your PQ. Also doesn't do super well into Kira. As a Quinlan player myself, that Kira flip turn can be quite devastating if you're not ready for it, and it's hard to be ready for it every single time, to be honest. 39% win rate into the new Kylo Ren 5, presumably Tarkin Town, because that is the majority of which Kylo Ren is being played. And then not a whole lot of people are going to be on set 1 Han Solo, but a 40% win rate there as well, which is kind of crazy because I feel like Han Solo would typically struggle into force throw decks, so I actually don't really understand that too much. Other than that, it's generally a really good deck into the broader field. It's going to beat anything else, honestly. So that's Quinlan. Another example, let's say you think a lot of people are going to be, let's just take the second most, Boba Fett JTL, typically usually on Dadival. So what's Boba currently good into? Well, he's not good into Han 2. He's also not good into Yoda and Han 1. These guys aren't super meta relevant at the moment. Piet, he doesn't do super good into Piet. But honestly, across the board, this guy has a pretty good win rate into a lot of stuff. And which is why he's popping up so much, and that's why he's winning so much as well, because he's just a really well-positioned leader in the current meta. So, utilize SWU Competitive Hub, utilize swoometa.net, also utilize the Discord downstairs in the description just to, feel out, what the current meta is looking like, what you think is good into different matchups, bounce ideas off of other people. And, obviously playtesting is going to be king, because sure, Boba may have a bad matchup into Han 2 generally, but what if you have the secret sauce and you fix that entire issue? Well, then you are going to be coming a little different to your PQ. So When it comes to the main meta contenders, I have some sample deck lists pulled up here, and we're kind of going to go over some of the... So I have some sample decks pulled up here, and we're kind of just going to go over some of the important cards and play lines for each deck. This will be like the last portion of the video, and then I'll go over my personal recommendations for what decks you could probably be playing right now, and you wouldn't feel really bad about playing. I grabbed the majority of these lists on, Swooty Bee, the hot tier. Some of these are my own personal concoctions. Shout out to me. This one's not loaded. There it is. Also, look what's back on Swooty Bee, the buy indicator to show how expensive the deck is. That's pretty cool. But first up, we have Sabine ECL. Sabine ECL has been in the meta since the beginning of time, and honestly, it is quite easy to know what's going to happen and when. Some of the newer aspects of the deck is that actually this list, so 1 Luke Skywalker pilot, 2 Chewbacca pilots. These pilots, if you turn 1 Green Squadron A-Wing or Phoenix Squadron A-Wing into one of these pilots can be quite devastating if you don't have an answer to it. Also, having units like K2SO, Poe Dameron, Wrecker with ECL, all those plays have always been devastating since the beginning of time. This deck runs 3 Porgs, which I find super interesting, but go wide and have more ways and more avenues to damage your opponent. It's always going to be really nice. I actually kind of messed with the Porgs. That's really cool. And then not only do you run Dark Sabers, but you run more avenues to equip more different types of upgrades and equipment on Sabine, but you're also running Yoda's lightsaber and General's blade as well. So you don't just have 2 or 3 dark sabers, you now have, in this list particularly, 7 different equipment options for Sabine on her flip turn, just to try and push that damage to make it a little bit more relevant and consistent. Moving on from Sabine ECL, we have Boba Fett Data Vault. Turn 4 deploy is pretty good because this deck does run some ground units, and one of them is Super Laser Technician, and then also Resupply as well as a card. So if they even just ramp 1 time, they're getting to deploy Boba not on the 6 resource turn, but the 5 resource turn, which is turn 4. So Boba's deploy is like a mini overwhelming barrage, which is also a 3 of in the deck as well. There is a ton of damage-based removal synergy with Boba. So if we take a look at the events here, funny enough, this works as well. So salvage, you play a vehicle unit from your discard pile, deal a damage to it. You technically dealt non-combat damage, so then you can exhaust Boba and deal an indirect. That's a funny play, but it is true. Daring Raid is not combat damage. Force Choke is not combat damage. Grenade Strike, Overwhelming Barrage, Planetary Bombardment. All these cards work in tandem, and Craving Power as well. All these cards work in tandem with Boba Fett's leader ability, which if you guys don't really know what it is, you may exhaust this leader if you do deal 1 indirect damage to a player. It's very aggressive style of deck. You can only put indirect damage on so many, in so many places. One of the good things to do against Boba Fett decks is to assign the indirect damage to your units before your base. That way you have, more health to try and fight back and push the damage back onto them. But when they're playing Data Vault, it's a little bit harder, honestly. So those are some things you're going to want to look out for with Boba Fett for sure. Next up, we have Kylo Ren Tarkin Town from set 5. Obviously, with this sort of deck, you're going to be looking for the MIGS opening play, and then, discarding a card. It's going to be very powerful, and that's something you're going to want to look to shut down as fast as you can. And also, Kylo is not always going to deploy on 7 resources. So one thing you're going to want to do is keep note of all the upgrades in their discard and track the damage that he can possibly do to you, because one upgrade in particular, Sith Holocron, this upgrade is very important, and the math is very important as well. So on attack, you may deal 2 damage to a friendly unit. It doesn't have to be himself, and if you do, this unit gets +2/+0 for this attack. So instead of being a +1/+1 upgrade for 1, it's a +3/+1 effectively upgrade for 1. Too many of these in the discard pile with the snapshot, and that's night for you. So you want to play cards to manipulate their discard pile if possible, or beat them before they get the opportunity to deploy Kylo Ren with 3 of those holocrons. 3 holocrons would make him a 14 damage swing with snapshot. That's 15 as soon as he deploys. And that's very easy to do because you're paying 3 for snapshot and then 3 for all 3 of your holocrons in total. You even have 1 left, so you could even slap a hot shot on him for 2 more. You're looking at 17 straight to the face. That's very difficult to come back from. So keep in mind, they want to open with MIGs. Discarding is really strong, really annoying. They're also going to just throw upgrades on a lot of their cheap units. Witch of the Mist, Karis, Secret of Sage, especially Secret of Sage because it's shielded. Long Pike as well because it's shielded. They're going to throw upgrades on their cheaper units because these cheaper units are going to die and the upgrades are going to end up in their discard anyway. So they don't care. As long as the upgrades end up in the discard at some point, this version of Kylo Ren doesn't really mind cycling to dig through the deck. Their main goal is to make sure their upgrades are in their discard whenever they go to flip them. So keep that in mind. Next up, we have Vader 4 Yellow from set 5 Galactic Championship. This is actually this exact list, and honestly it probably doesn't really need to change a whole lot. It's just 40 space units and a few events to go alongside it. Honestly, this deck list, as you can see, is very light on the events, very heavy on the ships, and it doesn't even run that wingman upgrade because you don't really need it when you're just slamming a bunch of ships on the board, do you? And it's a bunch of really good ships. It's a bunch of really good ones. Honestly, this is probably one of the best decks in the entire game, especially for new players because it's easy to pilot. And also this version is $108. That is on the higher end because there are some more expensive quote unquote cards in the deck that you could always find cheaper replacements for. From a bunch of key legendaries and rares that you can swap out. This is always, I think currently Sabine is not the best beginner friendly, user friendly deck. Especially from a price perspective, I definitely think Vader is now. But some things you want to keep note. Vader 4 always wants to try to find a 2-1 resource play. That way they can do some shenanigans on turn 2 with their 3 resources. So because of that, 3, 6, 9, 10, 16 1-cost units in their deck basically makes it to where they have a 30% of their deck is 1 resource units. They're going to want to drop 2 of these because on the following turn, they're going to want to Sanctioneer Shuttle. Coordinate, you get to capture an enemy non-leader unit that costs 3 or less. So you play 2 1-drops and then you capture and effectively remove their turn 1 or turn 2 play from the board, set them back a little bit. Or you can even Geonosis Patrol Fighter, so you can swing with your turn 1 plays, use Vader's ability to get a little token, and then exploit out Geonosis Patrol Fighter to return a 3-cost or less unit back to their hand to set them back. Once you get that sort of tempo established as early as turn 2, it's as simple as slam ship, swing with ship, make token, and then eventually deploy Vader and GG go next. This deck is very fast, strong, aggressive, and effective, and it'll be in the meta until it rotates probably. It's found a home, and it's a very scary, scary home. Next up, we have Han 2 Blue. Very straightforward, very simple. This guy was the monster that everybody was focusing on heading into Worlds. And what we're going to do is basically, we're going to defeat their force units before they can attack to get the force token to keep them off the force token. Like I've mentioned before in a previous video. Secret of Sage, they're running 3 Secret of Sages. This is a 2 resource, 2/2, and it's shielded. This is very difficult to answer, but it definitely needs to be answered. Otherwise, they attack with it, they get the force, and they can start rolling over you. They can also do things like cheating out Ezra Bridger and Grogu out on turn 1. Again, they're dealing 2 damage to these units. So Ezra Bridger will come out as a 3/3. Obviously against Tarkin Town Techs, they're not going to want to do that. But Grogu will come out as a 1/4 with 2 damage on it. Again, you need to answer these units. Otherwise, they can swing. They can take an initiative, swing, and then as soon as they get the force token, they can either use it with Chaotic Mundi, Itinerant Warrior, save it for cards like Leaping into Action Mace, or they can do other treacherous things with it. and we really don't want him to do. Another really good thing with Hantu Blue Force, they have a strong late game. As you can see, we're running 3 Luke Skywalkers, we're running a Chewbacca Pike's Bane, we're running 3 Crate Dragons. Very strong late game, though these decks are also going to want to just force throw these cards at you and at your leaders or large units. So if you can withstand those blows and take the pain, you should be all right. Next up, we have my personal Cad Bane deck. Not going to speak too much on this, because if you want to know how to beat it, you might also want to know just how to play it in general. And in order to figure that out, you can just check out my latest deck tech video, which will be in the top right corner, maybe, if I remember how to do that again. I think I said that earlier today as well in this video. But yeah, the Cad Tarkentown, there's 2 Tarkentown decks. Obviously, there's Cad Bane and Quinlan. Cad Bane plays more reactionary with their Tarkentown, and Quinlan plays a lot more aggressively with Tarkentown. But Cad Bane, you're going to wait for your opponent to play turn 1 play. You're going to Tarkentown it. You want to be on the reactionary. You want to stifle their momentum, and you want to use your strong Underworld synergies alongside key cards like Mist Hunter and Jabba the Butt. You can also add on a lot of damage throughout the game. A lot of these units can hit pretty hard, especially when toting a Hotshot Blaster, and then finish the game out with a Ruthless Raider, Cad Bane, Devastator, cards like that. Very simple, very straightforward. Personally, I recommend playing it, especially because I've been playing it a lot and I see the truth, but that will be up to you guys. Oh, of course. Like I mentioned, Quinlan's a lot more aggressive with Tarkentown. You want to take out a key unit so you can actually outrace them. Also, they're going to be playing very fast aggro. They're going to be using force throws and waylays in the main board. Typically, not everyone runs waylay in main. As you guys can see, this is my list. I run waylays in main, of course, because I'm not stupid. It is a good sideboard card, so I guess you could side it in, but I'm not going to be the one caught off guard and not have a way to answer a unit without waylay. You know what I'm saying? That's just me. So I like to run it in main, at least 2 of in the main board. Also, we're going to be using cards like Hotshot Blaster, Surprise Strike, and Cassian Andor to close the game out. This deck is very fast. New Quinlan unit, a lot of people aren't on. I'm on because he's super cool and sick, and I don't give a fuck. And then if you can drop Quinlan and force throw, and even 2 force throws in a single turn, everybody knows 2 force throws, it's GG after that. It's hard to come back from that. Very strong deck. Set 1, Palpatine Yellow controls the board via units. Not only that, but he also just, takes out his own units for his own benefit. This card right here, Legacy Run, I've been a big fan of. Great new addition to Palpatine in set 5, because you deal 6 damage divided as you choose among enemy units. So you play it out, you sack it for, your own good because you draw a card off of it. You also ping your opponent's enemy units. And then eventually, if they're still on the board and they're still injured, whenever you deploy Palpatine, you get to take control of any damaged non-leader unit that you want. That's a good way to swing momentum straight into your favor. Be mindful of the amount of resources Palpatine is on, because Palpatine can do some sneaky stuff. Obviously, he can, sack his own technician to go from, however many resources he's at to that +1. Also resupply as well. So if you're not careful and you're not paying attention to the amount of resources Palpatine is on and the damage you have on your units, Palpatine can sneak out. You'll think he's at 6 resources, boom, he's at 8. And then you're like, oh, well, I have a Luke Skywalker here with 1 damage on it. Boom, it's not yours anymore. It's Palpatine's. Not only that, he is a 4/10 on deploy. So this guy is thick. Very difficult to deal with. And 4 damage, I mean, it's not a whole lot. You could say it's laughable, but this damage is going to add up. So be very careful. I love Palpatine. This deck is really cool. Very fun to play. Lastly, we have Iden Data Vault. This is control with a bunch of removal to ensure that you can make it to the late game. And then it's basically drop bomb simulator. Very brain dead, honestly, but it gets the job done. And if you don't have a way to beat it, that's tough luck, kid. If we take a look at what the decks runs, we got 2 of the new Darth Vaders, we got 2 Reinforcement Walkers, 3 Snokes. Those cards are going to come in late. because they're high end, right? We have 2 Avengers, we have 2 Devastators, and we have 1 Annihilator. So, you know, a bunch of big bombs. If you think about it like that, that's 2, 4, 5, 8, 10. You'd say 12 bombs. So, you know, a fifth of their deck is just bombs, but, you know, 35, more than half their deck is events, and the majority of these are going to be removal. We got Crushing Blow, I Am Your Father, Merciless Contest, Power of the Dark Side, Takedown, Vigilance, No Glory, Vanquish, Rivals Fall, Super Laser Blast, Nebula Ignition, Entrenched. You know, it's basically removal simulator. You just want to try and get as much value out of your units as you can, and don't be afraid to play into removal, or you're just never going to catch up, especially because Item Versio, if you don't know, if an enemy unit was defeated, you get to heal a damage from your base, and if that wasn't enough, they're on Data Vault now with 33 HP. So don't be afraid to play your units, try and extract as much value as possible out of them, swing at their base until your units die. Otherwise, you have no hope. You're not going to be able to kill Iden if you don't attack them. You know what I'm saying? So I'm sure you guys have noticed I've been deleting the majority of them after I'm done talking about them, but my 3 recommendations, I have 1 for each, I guess, straight up archetype of deck. If you want to play aggro, I would personally recommend Boba Fett Data Vault at the moment. Very strong, very solid. For mid-range, Cad Bane Target Town, again, I've posted a deck tech video. It's doing pretty well. So a lot of you guys seem to love it and enjoy it, so make sure to hit that video up. And then for control, Palpatine Yellow is in a very solid spot, and I just find the playstyle to be a little bit more fun than sitting back and spamming removal events. But if you're that kind of guy, Iden's doing really well as well. I'm not gonna lie. And that has been the Meta Prep 101 video. Again, sorry for the lack of editing, lack of face cam, all that sort of stuff. I'll get this all figured out before the next video. But again, like, comment, and subscribe down below. We're getting close to 1,300. You know, we're moving kind of quick. We might hit 2K before the end of the year, which would be really cool. I'd have to set up another giveaway. Speaking of giveaways, join the Discord downstairs in the description. Vote on the final round, Yoda versus Darth Maul. Which showcase am I going to have to buy and give out to you? Also, if you win, you know, hey, you also get those tokens as well, the metal tokens. I've been sitting on them for a while. I've been hoping that I win, but I know I can't win because I can't even enter my own giveaway. But until next time, guys, be safe. Enjoy the meta. It's a great meta. Let me know what you guys are currently playing, either downstairs or in the Discord. If you even need deck feedback, we have a lot of really smart individuals, a lot of good Star Wars players in the Discord that would love to help out. You know, just spread the word, spread the gospel. We love SWU. We love you. It's been James with Make an Opening. Peace stuff. Flip out, baby.